Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. The debate on which party or parties should the ANC invite to form the next government is raging on. And this is an analysis that was done by Daily Maverick of how the three main parties have voted in the past on various issues. With ANC as the government and the DA as the main opposition and the EFF and so forth. And as we can see from the two columns, the DA has voted with the ANC in 17% of the occasions on those issues that have been listed, and EFF on 42%. And IFP, whose membership will probably include a lot of the MK members now in 58% of the cases. But this is just academic. South Africa's number one priority has to be rescuing that country's economy. South Africa has been drifting slowly but surely into economic meltdown. The last 30 years has seen South Africa generate more people into abject poverty. Yes, there have been multimillionaires, just as much as in Zimbabwe, there are multimillionaires, but at the expense of the economy and the ordinary people. That is at the heart of this problem. As much as ANC would want to focus on issues like employment equity, national minimum wage, and so forth, when unemployment has been rising and so many people are unemployed, the national minimum wage is not going to help them, is it? What's the point of having the minimum wage when you're unemployed? The number one issue for South Africa is to end the case of gross mismanagement and rampant corruption that has become the reality in that country. After 30 years, the country is crying to have those key issues addressed. And it is interesting that those issues sometimes are not being addressed when they should be addressed. But for South Africa, the idea that they can somehow ignore those issues is totally unrealistic. And this is why it is absolutely imperative that they do, because they cannot ignore them anymore. South Africa has been slowly moving to become just another failed state. And if that rot has got to be arrested, they have to address the economy. It's as simple as that. The thought that they can somehow struggle along and ignore that is no longer an option. Here is the argument being presented by DA. And I think South Africans should pay attention to it. Just listen to it.
I'm asking this on the basis that the Democratic Alliance is pushing to become the government of the day, and even if it is through the multi-party charter.
You guys make me laugh. You guys really make me laugh. You keep on telling us that we can't ever be the government, and then when you want to ask...
Who's you guys?
All the journalists and all the so-called pundits.
Where have you heard me say that?
Where have you heard the so-called pundits say what you say?
Where have you heard me say that, Helen?
The bottom line is...
Where have you heard me say that, Helen?
I haven't heard you particularly, but I have heard the pundits
Now,
say
I'm
that.
asking a question that the Democratic Alliance is pushing to become the government of the day, even through the multi-party charter. The Democratic Alliance has shown that it's actually willing to even speak to lawmakers in the United States, right? What's the reasoning behind that?
Look, I haven't been involved in any of the political discussions because I run the DA's administration and I run the internal management system. If you want to ask me about the blue machine, please do. I've been involved in no discussions with any lawmakers anywhere. I'm sitting here making sure the blue machine works. I haven't been part of caucus discussions on this issue, and I don't know who or if anyone has met with lawmakers in the United States. You clearly have information that I don't have. So I'd be very grateful to hear from you where that comes from.
Was Alan Winde not in the US?
Of course he was. As Premier, he was encouraging investment into the Western Cape.
Yes, but that's a position that the Democratic Alliance has taken.
No, it's a position that the Premier of the Western Cape has taken. We believe in a separation of party and state. That's how it works in the DA.
And he had the support of the Democratic Alliance.
The Democratic Alliance did not send Alan Winde to the United States. The Democratic Alliance did not tell Alan Winde what to say in the United States. Alan Winde went as the Premier of the Western Cape.
Just a final one on international relations, BRICS. Once the Democratic Alliance becomes government of the day, are we pulling out of BRICS? Is this something that the Democratic Alliance has had a conversation around, our involvement in BRICS as South Africa?
That's not an immediate issue for us.
It's not an immediate issue.
Our immediate issue for us is rescuing the economy, is preventing joblessness from reaching 60% generally, of improving education, of fixing health, of ensuring that this disastrous NHI doesn't destroy what remains of the health system. That's our priority. And our priority is fixing South Africa. We will deal with the other things when we come into power, but now our absolute priority is to fix the economy, to get people into jobs, to ensure that education is fixed, health is fixed, that corruption is ended, and of course that energy is fixed and that water infrastructure is fixed. Those are the DA's priorities. But you guys, and including you, Aldrin,
Helen, stop doing that. Stop doing you guys.
You think you can pepper me with questions? I can tell you about you guys. You always want
Helen,
to drive us into a corner.
No.
Our job is to fix South Africa, Aldrin.
Yeah, Helen, stop doing the you guys thing. I'm speaking to Helen Zille
and I'm speaking to Aldrin
and not you guys. I'm speaking to Helen Zille, who's a representative of the Democratic Alliance.
And you're a representative of Newsroom Africa.
No, not a representative of you guys. Not a representative.
You guys in Newsroom Africa, yes.
Of you guys. Maybe you can name the few that you want to name. Do you want to name them?
No, I don't want to name them.
Okay.
Of course, the DA is absolutely right. The number one priority for South Africa has to be to fix the economy. This is an economy that 30 years ago was doing very well, thank you. It was the strongest economy in Africa. Yes, South Africa had the same problem that Zimbabwe had, where the wealth of the country was not being distributed evenly. That is a problem that needed to be addressed. But in the last 30 years, that problem was not addressed. Worse still, the economy itself is being so incompetently run. Corruption became rampant. Mismanagement became rampant. What she was referring to there, the problem with power generation, is classical, is typical of what has happened in other countries like Zimbabwe as well, where in the interest of chasing popularity, ZANU-PF and ANC in South Africa was increasing the connection, the load end, doing rural electrification projects all over the place without increasing the generation. South Africa, like Zimbabwe, had not been investing in the generation end of the system. And so it's no surprise that the country found itself in a situation where the load end and the generation end are not equal. The load was greater than the generation end. And hence the need for load shedding. And the load shedding itself has been so poorly managed to the point where industry was affected. When you switch off industry, that is a serious problem because you're now hitting production, wealth generating opportunities. The problem of water, poor sewage systems. These are problems that South Africa was beginning to have. To people in Zimbabwe, this is a very common problem. Some of the people in Zimbabwe have had no electricity, no water. This is in the urban centers I'm talking about. For months on end. It is now a common joke that whenever there is electricity, some of the children will go in the street and celebrate because they've not seen the lights for such a long, long time. South Africa's economy slide will continue as long as nothing is done to fix the mismanagement and the corruption. DA, of all the partners that ANC can have, DA is the one that can offer something, that has got something on the table to drag the nation from that crisis. Here is a takeoff, if you want. Zuma has put up his toe why he should be the natural partner for ANC.
So after elections, does it mean you're taking that constituency to the ANC?
No.
How are you rescuing the
Listen to
ANC
me
by
telling
leading
you.
another party? How
Listen
does
to
that
me
work?
telling you, my good sister.
It's a contradiction.
Because you don't understand what is called a political something.
What?
We established MK in 1961 to save or rescue the ANC, among other things, which was the national organization, and save the black people. We established MK. And MK played a role that assisted us to come quicker to liberation as a military wing of the struggle in South Africa. Today, in a different way, the ANC is being killed by some of its members who are sent by other people. People in South Africa have been saying, and as a journalist you know, have been saying to ANC people, we are not going to vote you if you still keep Cyril Ramaphosa as the president. You have heard it.
So it's a personal vendetta?
No, I'm asking you have heard it. I'm asking, is it a vendetta or not vendetta? I'm asking you.
In some quarters it has
Wait. I'm telling you about the voters. And the voters of the ANC have been going down on the basis of that. And therefore the ANC has been killed systematically together. And we who know the ANC coming, we want to rescue the history of the ANC, the name of the ANC. That's why I won't leave it to people I think they've done wrong things. One day I could tell you more reasons why. The ANC, there is nothing wrong with the membership of the ANC. There's everything wrong with the leadership of the ANC, or some leaders of the ANC.
Okay,
these are the
put this to
people
you
we
then.
need to deal with. And
once you've dealt with
wait
them,
a bit, let me complete. I wanted to take the ANC as the biggest history among national liberation movement.
yes.
And you can't take that and give it to the current leadership, like Ramaphosa's, and say they must now look after it. So I'm telling you,
So when you deal with the leadership-
that is what I'm telling you, the rescuing of the ANC. We can't take this rich history, unprecedented, many people looked after, and just give it to other people.
but you
That's
brought
why-
Cyril Ramaphosa back
wait,
into the fold.
Wait.
How are you forgetting that
No,
history?
I've never done so. I'll
In
tell you one day.
2012.
I will tell you one
Who
day. It's
brought
not
Cyril Ramaphosa
It
back
was
to
brought
be
by
your
some
deputy
members.
president?
Was brought by some members of the ANC who came to recommend him to me.
But you accepted it.
Sorry?
You accepted it. It was a
No,
collective
I'm not
decision.
the only one person who
Oh,
takes a
are you-
decision
yes?
in the ANC. The ANC takes decision on the basis of consultations and discussions.
But you never had any red flags then?
I did,
Okay.
but it was not meant in public. I had red flags long time ago.
Already, your baby is not even a year old, but already there seem to be ructions. There's, some would say, confusion. Jabulani Kumalo says he's the leader of Umkhonto weSizwe. You allegedly have expelled him. He claims that his signature was forged, where there was a letter sent to the IEC ceding power over to you. What is going on with the Umkhonto weSizwe party?
Let me just start. Have you ever had an organization in South Africa who is 4 years old, but who is leading the race? Have you ever had
You're
it?
not 4 years old.
Huh?
You're not 4 years old. You're
We
a couple of months.
We-
Umkhonto
Oh,
weSizwe
sorry. Not 4 years, 4 months. Sorry. Thank you for correcting me. 4 months. 4 months, not 4 years, 4 months. But is leading the race. Was there ever an organization of that nature? Can you say it is dying? Who is dying? Umkhonto? Not at all. Umkhonto is growing, is big.
So as far as former President Jacob Zuma is concerned, ANC, the people of South Africa, failed to support ANC in this recent election because they didn't want Cyril Ramaphosa and some of the leaders in ANC. Nothing to do with the economy, nothing to do with the gross mismanagement, nothing to do with the corruption. I think the people of South Africa have got a simple choice. Well, the people themselves, the ordinary people, have voted, so that choice has been made. Now it's for the leadership of ANC to make a decision on this matter. If they really believe that people fail to give ANC the mandate, a strong enough mandate to have majority to form the government of their own, because they didn't like the leadership in the ANC, and therefore then they will get rid of Cyril Ramaphosa and maybe one or two others and form a coalition with the likes of Zuma, I think they will have lost the opportunity. The people, the ordinary people in South Africa, I believe, they were frustrated by ANC because it has failed to deliver on the economic front. I believe the key issue of these recent elections, and this has been building up over 30 years, the grievance of failure to deliver on the economic front has been building up for the last 30 years. And if the leadership is going to ignore that problem and pretend that it is a question of Cyril Ramaphosa not being popular enough, I'm not saying he is popular, but to be quite honest, the main problem with that is not just Cyril Ramaphosa, it's the entire leadership of ANC, including the time when Jacob Zuma himself was president. ANC has been sick. Corruption and mismanagement has been the biggest problem, a common problem for countries like Zimbabwe. ANC, the people of South Africa had the opportunity to send a clear message to ANC to change course, something that Zimbabweans themselves have never had that opportunity. But if the ANC leadership failed to listen, I believe the next 5 years will be very difficult for the people of South Africa. The economy will continue to sink, and the trouble with a worsening economic situation is that those in power, in their desperate effort to stay in power, that's when they are most likely to adopt even more extreme policies. And adopting those policies would only sink the country into even deeper trouble. So the next few days are going to be really interesting for not only South Africans, but for the whole SADC region, because South Africa is such a key player in that region, but more so for the people of Zimbabwe. Because a South Africa in economic chaos would not serve the people of Zimbabwe, help them in any way get out of the mess they are in. One can only hope that maybe the the electoral results would have sent at least a clear message to ANC that they should not interfere in Zimbabwe's internal affairs. But as the economy in South Africa deteriorates, the chances are that ANC would continue to interfere in Zimbabwe's internal affairs. Failing regimes have got the habit, the knack, to try to distract their own people by getting their nose into other people's affairs, particularly those that they can bully. So if ANC choose to go into a coalition with EFF, or MK, I think it would be disastrous for South Africa and disastrous for Zimbabwe. The bottom line is South Africa's number one problem is the economy. It is the economy, stupid, as Bill Clinton famously said. Thank you very much for listening, and have a good night.